Thank you, Amir. So, Glasgow and Clyde rape crisis marks our 50th anniversary this year. We were established back in 1976 by women for women with quite a simple mission to help girls and women heal and take back control from male sexual violence and abuse and to eradicate the threat of it once and for all. 50 years later, we're still standing, frustratingly so, to fight for that exact same mission. Why? Because male sexual violence and abuse continues to be our country's biggest shame. More than half of Scotland is female, so what we're talking about today either threats to or does affect one in every two people who call Scotland home. So here's what we know as the facts from 50 years of fighting against male sexual violence in Glasgow. And during that time, we have helped around 250,000 female survivors of male sexual violence and rape. Male perpetrators live their lives in plain sight. They're all around us. 9 out of the 10 women that we support every day are abused by men who are known to them. Their partners, their ex-partners, their dads, their granddads, their step-relations, their uncles, their brothers, their sons, their friends and work colleagues, their classmates in schools, and their friends from college and university. They're professionals who are appointed to be in the lives of women and girls by our health system, our care system, our justice system, our education system, and our welfare system. We also know that women and girls experience repetitive instances of rape and sexual violence, on average for 1 year, before they even make a call to us. And that's long before they even contemplate reaching out to Police Scotland. We know that in our schools across Glasgow, we girls are putting up with unwanted sexual communications and behaviours from boys. That's what they think boys do if they like you. But they also think that boys are allowed to do that and to treat them in a derogatory way if they don't like you too. We know that female teachers are experiencing sexualised communications and threats of such from the boys they're there to teach. And we know that boys and young men in colleges and unis across this city abuse their positions in their societies, in their sports clubs, and with their academic potential to hide their behaviours and proclaim their innocence when a woman raises concerns about what they have chosen to do. And we also know that sexual violence spikes for women and girls at home. It spikes when men feel frustrated that their football team didn't win. It often spikes when women greet their men home because they're happy that their football team won. We also know that men take their violence out against women and girls when they've lost money in the bookies or when they've had an argument that they've not won with their friend in the pub. So we also know that whilst the stats recorded by Police Scotland are extremely alarming, they will never, ever present the true and real scale of this shame. Why? Because asking for help from the police can feel even riskier and far more harmful than putting up with the experience of rape and sexual violence. It means for that woman or that girl turning life upside down. It means being off work, stalling their education, thinking about having to get a new home, worrying about money, worrying if the state are going to intervene and looking after their kids that they love, becoming estranged from friends and family who just can't believe that their son, their brother, their husband could be capable of perpetrating such harm towards a woman. But worse still, for being blamed for the shame that I've already named. And that shame unequivocally starts and ends with men. Women should never be blamed for making that man do what he chooses to do. And let's be clear, that is a choice that a man makes clearly and freely on his own. So at GCRC, we know the true story of rape and sexual violence. And today, my plea is quite simple. This shame has to be named for what it is. What is happening to women and girls is because we have failed to truly tackle the underlying cause of sexual violence and abuse. That, quite simply, is male behaviours and male choices. And it's the male entitlement to sex and to control females. So to point out what should feel like the obvious, we need the men that we know and love in our communities across this city who we know want to eradicate this shame and the threat that we live with as women, to both share but more proportionately take on deliberately the burden that we already hold and that already sits far too heavy on our shoulders. We don't want to keep on coming up with new ways to keep ourselves safe, whether that's at home, at work, at school, in hospitals, or in the city centre streets. So please, educate and challenge your sons, your friends. Call out banter and actions that has no place in 2026. Demand more from those in power. Do this for your daughters, your sisters, your mothers, your aunties, your nanas, your wives, your girlfriends, for your female friends, your colleagues, your teammates and your neighbours. And see, whilst we're starting to do that, let's demand better political choices, because political choices are going to matter today more than ever. And don't ever use what we know at Glasgow and Clyde rape crisis and can evidence quite clearly to pursue a dangerous and discriminatory agenda in our city. Don't put on balaclavas, don't stomp through parks and the streets aggressively, making us feel less safe and more fearful than we already do, to go to our work, to go to school, to go shopping, to go travelling about to see our friends and family. And don't dare say you're doing this in our name, because if you were, you'd have asked us for the facts and what we need before you took to those streets. This is not what we need, and it's not what we have asked for either.